Screen is visible to everyone? Hope so.
Yes, ma'am.
So, can anyone explain the relational model? What do you mean by relation?
Ma'am, a relation means tables.
Yes, relation means tables. There are different kinds of models are present, but if you are storing our data in the form of table, that's called a relation. And any table is the collection of rows as well as the column. Okay, and this is the one of the most popular model. Okay, so after that we saw the concept of the structure of relational model. As we know, the any relation is the table over here, roll number, name, address, phone number. This is the student relation is there. After that we saw the just a minute. In structure of relation database, we saw the terminologies, that is the attribute, tuples, relational schema, and so on. So what do you mean by attributes and tuple? Yes, anyone? Collection of, yes, yes, attribute, collection of
Ma'am,
columns present
ma'am,
over. Yes, yes,
ma'am,
please explain.
attribute means the column headers and the tuple means the rows.
Yes, very nice, absolutely correct. Then we saw the concept of the relation schema. Relation schema is nothing but the name of the relation, that is the name of the table with its attributes. Over here, student, with its attributes are present. Okay. Then the relation instance. Hmm? Relation instance means what? The tuples of a relation at a particular instance, particular time. It's called the relation instance. It is a snapshot. Okay. Then the
Yes, ma'am.
domain. Yes. Domain is nothing but the permitted values, or we are applying some constraint on the attributes. That is nothing but the domain. That should be a atomic. Then degree, cardinality, and null value. Who will tell me about the degree? Yes.
Ma'am, number of attributes present in the table or the relation.
Yes. Correct. Huh? If there are five attributes in the table or in the relation, that means the it's a degree of that table. Over here, total degree is 5, and cardinality is nothing but the total number of rows present in the table. Then null value, if it is a if there is a no value in a particular uh, time, then it's called as a null value. And it is represented by a blank space. Then database schema. Overall design of the database is called the database schema, and there are two categories in that. That is the logical schema as well as the physical schema. Okay, and this is the database schema diagram. Okay, then the database instance, the overall skeleton of the database. When our database is in operational one, then the snapshot of that time of the table is nothing but the database instance. Now let's start with a new concept, which is the most important concept of the DBMS, that is the keys. See, keys are the heart of the database. We can say these concepts are the most important concept. Any relational database should contain the keys with each and every tables. Okay, which are, what is that? Let's see. Keys in a DBMS is an attribute or set of attributes which helps you to identify rows in a relation. See, keys in a DBMS is an attribute or set of attributes which helps you to identify rows in a or tuple in a relation. See, you know all now the table as it's a collection of rows as well as the column. Suppose you want to all the names from the attribute name, then you can easily got that one because every column has its column header. Okay, but you want a specific record of a students, that student name, address, all the 4 to 5 students records, then how you can going to uh, fetch that record because it's related to the tuples. Yes, there is a records whichever we want to fetch. If it is related to the column, then quite obvious through the column name we can fetch that one. We can access that one. But how we are going to identify the each and every rows? Okay, that's why keys are there to identify each and every record uniquely. We are giving the keys. Okay. They allow you to find the relation between two tables. This is the another reason to applying the keys to the table. Hmm. See, take an example of Excel sheet. If you want to uh, capture the data from specific fields, huh, at that time you should know the addressing, means row address as well as the column address. Without that, we you can't access that data, right? So to give the name or identification to the rows, we are applying the keys. Is column house having already column header. Okay, and key allows you to find the relation between the two tables. You as a relational database management systems, there are n number of tables are present and that these tables are interrelated with each others, and if you want to allow the relation between these, then this is possible only with the keys only. Okay, we can associate two entity with the help of keys only. Okay, keys help you to uniquely identify a row in a table by a combination of one or more columns in that table. And key is also helpful for finding unique record or a row from the table. Okay, are you getting, student? Key is nothing but the one kind of attribute, okay, which specifically added to identify each and every record uniquely or set of attributes. An attribute nothing but the column. That's it. Please note down these points. Next point, let's see the key example. See over here, student and person. These are two relations available over here. Student with attributes ID, name, address, course, and the person with a name, date of birth, passport number, license number, as well as a SSN, social security number. These are the two tables with its attribute. Now, who will tell me about whether it's schema or it's an instance? This table representation is the schema or instance. If you are clear with the concept of yesterday previous sessions, then you can tell me whether is it the schema or instance. Is it the snapshot? I will give the clue. Is it the snapshot of the operational database, or is it an architecture or design of the table? No one?
Ma'am, schema.
Yes, correct. Very nice. Because it's a design of the table, that is nothing but the it's a database schema. This is the our proposed database design. Okay, and schema does not contain any uh, records. It's only structure of the table. So an instance is the snapshot of operational database. तुम्हाला इथे कुठे रेकॉर्ड दिसतात का? स्टुडंट वन स्टुडंट टू चे वगैरे असे काही रेकॉर्ड दिसतात का? नाही दिसत आहेत. तर ही फक्त डिझाईन स्ट्रक्चर आहे की आपल्या स्टुडंट टेबलमध्ये हे ऍट्रिब्यूट्स असतील, पर्सन टेबलमध्ये हे ऍट्रिब्यूट्स असतील. आपण जस्ट डिझाईन करतोय, आपण अजून रेकॉर्ड्स वगैरे ऍड केला नाहीये ना, टेबल क्रिएट केलं आहे. दॅट्स वाय इट्स अ स्कीमा. ओके. So next is why we need a key. Key helps you to identify any row of the data in a table. See over here. To identify any row, each and every row, we need a key. Because attributes तो automatically identify हो जाता है because we have giving the column name or attributes name. Okay. In a real world application, a table could contain a thousands of records, or it may be a million trillions. Yeah. Moreover, the records could be duplicated. Most of the time, duplicate records are present. And keys in a RDBMS ensure that you can uniquely identify a table record despite these challenges. If thousands of records are available and you have to present your records uniquely, by avoiding the duplications, though the duplicate data is available, but you have to gather unique, huh? You have to identify your data uniquely, then keys are important. It allows you to establish relationship between uh, and identify the relation between the tables. Relationship establishment as well as the relation identification, the for the both purpose we required the key, and it helped you to enforce identify the integrity in the relationship. We will learn the integrity concept in detail in next few coming lectures, but still overall just integrity means we have to maintain the integrity. Means what? If there is a duplication of the record is there, and if we update the any record, or it may be updation, deletion, adding some, then the impact of that should be updated to the duplicate tables too. That means you are maintaining the integrity. Okay, we will see these concept in detail. Don't worry about that. But integrity is the one of the most important property. Okay. So hope so you will understood the concept of the key, why we need a key. Okay. Over here, student with records these for ID. We can consider ID as a key, and in person table, name should be considered as a key, key attribute. Okay. And according to RDBMS, there are basically four types of keys: primary key, candidate key, super key, foreign key. Yes, please note down these points. These there are another types of keys also present, but these are the most important and basic types of key: primary key, candidate key, super key, and foreign key. We will see these key types in details now. Just note down these key. Let's see first, that is the primary key. Okay, primary key, as the name says it, it's a basic or first key. Primary, first one. It is the first key which is used to identify one and only one instance of an entity uniquely. Okay, primary key is the first key which is used to identify one and only one instance of an entity uniquely. See, as the entity has the collection of attributes, in that only one primary key is, we can apply a one primary key to a single attribute only. Means within a one table, there is only one primary key should present. Okay, an entity can contain multiple keys, as we saw in a person table. Hmm? Multiple keys means multiple attributes. Hmm? The key which is most suitable for those lists becomes a primary key. Now, look into this table, employee table, with its attribute: employee ID, employee name, address, passport number, license number, and SSN, social security number. So, over here, total six, but out of these, four attributes can uniquely identify our employee relation. These are the employee ID, passport number. Yes, passport number is also unique one. License number is also unique for each and every person, employee, each and every employee. Or social security number also unique one. So these four can be worked, or these are the as strong as to identify each and every record uniquely. But DBA, that is a database administrator, has the authority to choose any one of these key, any one of these key as a primary key. Over here, DBA selected employee ID as a primary key. Assume this one. Okay. Are you getting, students? Primary key.
Yes, ma'am.
That's good. डीबीए डिसाइड करतो, डेटाबेस ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेटर डिसाइड करतो की जर चार पाच कीज असतील त्याच्यात जे युनिकली आपला रेकॉर्ड आयडेंटिफाय करत आहेत. इथे बघा, पासपोर्ट नंबर, लायसन नंबर, हा एम्प्लॉई आयडी. मग त्यातला कुठला एखादा ऍट्रिब्यूट आपण घ्यायचा की जो आपलं म्हणजे त्याला प्रायमरी की अप्लाय करायची. कारण की प्रायमरी की ही कधीही नल नसते. इट डज नॉट कंटेन एनी नल व्हॅल्यू. आणि प्रत्येक टेबलच्या अंडर ही एकच प्रायमरी की असते. आणि जी पण डीबीए देतो त्या ऍट्रिब्यूटला ऑथॉरिटी की तू प्रायमरी की म्हणून वर्क कर ह्या टेबलसाठी. ओके. मग आता होपसो तुम्हाला आठवत असेल की ER डायग्राम मध्ये जर आपण एखाद्या ऍट्रिब्यूटच्या खाली अंडरलाईन करत असेल तर त्याला आपण की ॲट्रिब्यूट म्हणायचो. तर त्याच्यामध्ये की ॲट्रिब्यूट्स म्हणजे काय आहे, तर तो प्रायमरी की होता. म्हणजे वी आर सिलेक्टिंग दॅट ॲट्रिब्यूट ॲज अ प्रायमरी की टू युनिकली आयडेंटिफाय ईच अँड एव्हरी रेकॉर्ड. दॅट्स वाय वी अंडरलाईन दॅट ॲट्रिब्यूट. आणि प्रत्येक टेबलच्या अंडर हा एकच ॲट्रिब्यूट असतो. प्लीज नोट डाऊन दिस पॉइंट. तुम्ही इंडिव्हिज्युअली जर
Yes, ma'am.
हां, रीड आउट करायला गेला, वाचायला गेलात, तर थोडासा इट टेक्स टाईम. पण इथे जर तुमच्या कन्सेप्ट क्लिअर झाल्या, तर इट्स मोर इझियर फॉर यू स्टुडंट. आणि सी या कीजवर बाकीच्या बऱ्याच कन्सेप्ट DBMS मधल्या डिपेंडंट आहेत. सो बी क्लिअर विथ द की कन्सेप्ट. ओके. म्हणजे डेटा नॉर्मलायझेशन्स वगैरे हे पुढच्या ज्या कन्सेप्ट आहेत फ्युचरमध्ये आपण जे कमिंग लेक्चर्समध्ये शिकणार आहोत, तर मोस्ट ऑफ द ह्या तुमच्या कीज या कन्सेप्टवर डिपेंड्स आहेत. मग तिथं मी डायरेक्टली हा प्रायमरी की आहे, ही सुपर की आहे, असं जर यूज वर्ड केला, तर तुम्हाला ती कन्सेप्ट माहीत असली पाहिजे, की हा बाबा याचा मिनिंग इथं हा अप्लाय होतोय. तर तेच जर क्लिअर नसेल, तर मग ते बिकॉज ऑफ दॅट डिपेंडन्सी मग तुम्हाला नेक्स्ट कन्सेप्ट पण समजायला अवघड जाईल. सो बी क्लिअर विथ दिस कन्सेप्ट. आणि इंटरव्ह्यूजमध्ये म्हणा किंवा टेक्निकल राउंड्समध्ये या कन्सेप्ट ह्या जनरली विचारल्या जातातच. ओके. ओके. नेक्स्ट वन इज candidate key. A candidate key is an attributes. It's also attribute. जे काही keys आहेत त्या attributesच आहेत. Either जे single attributes असेल किंवा set attributes असेल. पण primary key फक्त single attributes आहे. Remember this point. It's never set of attribute. Primary key is the only single attribute. Yes, candidate key is now an attribute or set of attribute which can uniquely identify a tuple. Tuple means what? Row. The remaining attribute except the primary key are considered as a candidate key. The candidate keys are the strong as a primary key. See over here, same example. I am continuing the same example. Employee with 6 attributes. Huh? From these, in that only 4 attributes are considered as the strong key, because all these four, employee ID, passport number, license number, and SSN, are uniquely identify our database. But we select only one key as a primary key. And then what about others? These keys are as strong as a primary key. Yeah, but these are the not a primary key, because just DBA giving the authority to employee ID to work as a primary key. Then other keys are called as a candidate key. These are the candidates which are qualified for a work as a primary key, but they are not selected as a primary key. That's why the name is the candidate key. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
fine. Over here, passport number, license number, SSN, these are considered as a candidate key. Please note down these points with the example. In the employee table, ID is the best suited for the primary key, and rest of the attribute, that is SSN, passport number, and license number, etc., are considered as a candidate key. Now, come to the next point, super key. Super key is a group of single or multiple keys. Super key is a group of single or multiple keys which identify rows in a table. Okay. Yes, these super keys are also used to identify rows in a table. It may be a single or multiple keys. Multiple attributes are combined. Huh? Now here multiple attributes are combined. The super key may have additional attributes that are not needed for a unique identifications. See, in a candidate key, what happen? Each and every uh, key should be uniquely identified. Huh? These are the as strong as a primary key. Okay, but in super key, if you consider super key, it is a set, single attribute or set of attribute, right? Now, suppose if we combine employee ID with employee name, can we identify by using these two attributes a record uniquely? Yes, of course, because employee name may be repeated, but employee ID never repeated. It's not a duplicate one. Huh? So by combining employee ID plus employee name and considering one set as a super key. This is the meaning of this statement. A super key may have additional attributes that are not needed for a unique identification. Super key. Now over here, employee ID with name is for your name. Is there a unique identification? Is there? No. But because of combination of employee ID, we are using that one. We can consider as a employee ID with employee name as a super key. See, super key is a super set of candidate key. We are combining two or more keys, candidate keys, and it's become a super key. Okay. Suppose you combining the passport number as well as the license number. These two are the candidates key, and identifying or capturing some data by using passport number plus license number. Hmm? Then that is nothing but you are using the super key by combining these two. Are you clear with the concept?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. To clear with the concept of the super key in more detail, let's see over here. Super key example. Over here, student table is present with its attribute SID, register ID, name, branch, as well as the email. Now there are five attributes. Hmm? Now over here, who will going to tell me which are the attributes which uniquely identify these tables? How many attributes? If it is not clear, let me enlarge it. Here, student table is present with five attributes: SID, student ID, registration ID, name, branch, and email. So, from these attributes, which attributes can uniquely identify these records? Or which are the key attributes in this table? Yes, anyone?
मॅम क्वेश्चन रिपीट करता का?
Yes. सी इथे टेबल प्रेझेंट आहे स्टुडंट टेबल विथ त्याचे ॲट्रिब्यूट्स कुठले आहेत पाच ॲट्रिब्यूट्स आहेत एस आय डी रजिस्टर आय डी नेम ब्रांच ॲज वेल एज ईमेल यातले कुठले ॲट्रिब्यूट असे आहेत की त्याला आपण की ॲट्रिब्यूट्स म्हणू शकतो किंवा ते युनिकली इच अँड एव्हरी रेकॉर्ड आयडेंटिफाय करू शकतात. कुठले आहे त्यामधले की ॲट्रिब्यूट्स? समजला का क्वेश्चन?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, for registration ID and email.
ईमेल. ओके. अँड व्हॉट अबाउट द स्टुडंट आय डी, एस आय डी? तो पण आहे. म्हणजे these three are the
Yes, ma'am.
हां, these three are the key attributes in this example. Okay. So over here, these are also a candidate key, huh? Because each and every attribute uniquely identify. In that we are selecting one as a primary key. Suppose register ID, we are selecting the uh, uh, primary key. Hmm? Now the super key. If I combine SID plus register ID, that means it's a combination of two attributes to find out some records, few records. Then is also it's a super key because it's combining. Then register ID with email. This is also a s- super key. Then email plus SID. This is one of the example of super key. That means attribute or set of attributes. We are using for identify each record uniquely, as well as SID with name. Over here name is not uniquely identify the record, but SID can. Because of that, this is also comes under the super key. Now listen carefully. If I combine name as well as the branch, name as well as the branch, I want a Adam name student whose branch is CS. Like that, I want to apply the query. Then if I combining these two, so can I identify the record uniquely, name and as well as the branch? No, because these are the in both name as well as the branch, these are the normal attributes. These are the not key attributes. So that's why a combination of these two is not a super key. Are you getting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just note down the concept with example. Super key. Super key is a superset of candidates key. Okay. Superset. If you know the set theory, then there is a concept of the superset. Super key is a superset of candidate keys. That is the combination of the candidates key may be a super key most of the time. Now move to the next one. That is the last type of key, foreign key. Foreign. See, each and every key name suggests the its pattern, its quality. Okay, foreign key. Foreign key are the column of the table which is used to point the primary key of another table. Foreign keys are the column. Yes, of course, it's a column of the table which is used to point a primary key of another table. See, two tables are present over here. Consider. Hmm. Then student ID is a primary key in student table, and there is a course. Hmm. Then in that course ID is a primary key for a course table. But if you particular student going to apply, there is a relation in course as well as the student. If particular student is admitted for specific course, then the course id should be important for that students. Because of that, we are uploading course id in a student table. At that time, course id, which is the primary key of student primary key of course table, may work as a foreign key for a student table. I will explain one more time. For example, let's take another example. In a company, every employee works in a specific department. Now, here is an example of company as well as the department. Hmm? So, consider these two tables, employee as well as the department, are two different entities. So, we can't store information of the department in the employee table. That's why we links these two tables through a primary key of one table. See over here, employee with department. These are the two tables available, and every employee works under a department. Okay, so employees with employee ID primary key and department with department ID. It's primary key. Now every employee works under the particular department, specific department. So we are adding department ID in the employee table. We are taking the department ID column as it is with employee relation. That means department ID. This is the primary key for a department table, and its work as a foreign key for an employee table. So primary key of specific table, particular table, work as a foreign key of another table. Or you can say it as a foreign key or a column of a table which is used to point the primary key of another table. Are you getting, students, or confusion is there?
No, ma'am, understood.
Because of that, its name is foreigner. Means तुम्ही म्हणू शकता ना की आपल्या इथल्या गावचं जर एक जण दुसरीकडे जाऊन काम करत असेल, दुसऱ्या कंट्रीमध्ये, तर वी कॅन कॉल इट इज अ फॉरेनर. तसंच इथे काय होतंय की डिपार्टमेंटची जो डिपार्टमेंट आय डी आहे, तो डिपार्टमेंटचा प्रायमरी की आहे, पण दुसरीकडे जाऊन एम्प्लॉईच्या अंडर तो काम करत आहे. दॅट इज द डिपार्टमेंट आय डी. आपण रेफर करतोय त्याला, आणि त्याच्यामध्ये रिलेशन दाखवतोय एम्प्लॉई आणि डिपार्टमेंटमध्ये. ओके, की हा एम्प्लॉई या डिपार्टमेंटच्या अंडर काम करतोय. मग त्याच्यासाठी आपण डिपार्टमेंट आय डी घेतलेला आहे. कुठून घेतलेला आहे? डिपार्टमेंट कडून घेतलेला आहे. तर एम्प्लॉई या टेबलसाठी डिपार्टमेंट आय डी ही फॉरेन की झाली, की जी दुसऱ्या टेबलची प्रायमरी की आहे. येस, अंडरस्टूड एव्हरीवन?
Yes, ma'am.
What about others? Please reply or text me. कारण की ह्या खूप खूप इम्पॉर्टंट कन्सेप्ट आहेत. सर इथे जर काही कन्फ्युजन असेल, नसेल समजलं, तर मी परत एकदा रिपीट करेन. काही प्रॉब्लेम नाही मला, पण तुम्हाला समजणं फार इम्पॉर्टंट आहे. कारण की याच्यावर खूप डिपेंडंट कन्सेप्ट आहेत फ्युचरमध्ये, जे कमिंग लेक्चर्स जे असतील आपल्या, तर तेव्हा नाही समजण्यापेक्षा आता जर समजून घेतलं सगळं, तर इट्स बेटर फॉर मी ॲज वेल ॲज यू. Yes, at least message me. Repeat, ma'am. Understood, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We got it. तुमच्यात युनिटी खूप छान आहे आपण. CR ने येस म्हटलं की सगळ्यांचं येस असं कन्सिडर करून चालायचं. व्हॉट अबाउट अदर्स? काही असं होऊ शकतं ना की कधी कधी नाही समजलं. जस्ट कम अप अँड लेट मी नो. Okay, hope so. You understood. Just note down the foreign key too. Over here, we add the primary key of department table, department ID as a new attribute in an employee table. Now, in an employee table, department ID is a foreign key, and both the tables are related now. See, there is a relation now. In this way, we can apply the relation in between two tables. Okay, just note down, draw this diagram. We will stop over here today.